Hey all, I plan to start a new series where I go over every killer in Dead by Daylight, their lore, and how to play them. Many of you have probably heard whispers of this plan since last year. In fact, some of you might be content creators that I reached out to last year to work on this series with, and things are finally ready to go with this. It's been a long time coming, and I'm very excited to share these stories with you. Before those videos come out though, I wanted to at first give a small intro to the lore so that those videos will make sense, and I'd like to teach those of you how to play that aren't aware of how Killer works. That way, when future videos come out, you'll be able to watch them if you so desire with hopefully minimal issues. First, we'll talk about the foundational lore for the world, and this is going to be incredibly brief. But before we jump into the fog, I'd like to thank the sponsor for this video and the first sponsor of the entire channel, Manta Sleep. I've been very picky these last few years about who I chose to work with, and Manta Sleep quickly showed me they were a great service worth partnering with. My girlfriend Juliet and I have been using their products the last few months, and have loved them. Juliet especially. She typically needs to fall asleep to sound like a YouTube video or a TV show, something I'm sure many of you can relate to. We watch YouTube on our Xbox, which automatically turns off at night, so she'll end up waking up and staying awake the rest of the night.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no.
Thankfully, this was where Manta Sleep sound sleep mask stepped in, allowing Juliet to not only fall asleep super easily thanks to the 100% blackout of the mask, but stay asleep with the sleep mask's ultra-thin Bluetooth headphones. To fall asleep, she can just turn on one of her favorite YouTubers with the mask playing in her ears and conk out for a good 8 hours, waking up super refreshed and not having to worry anymore about waking up to the room dead silent at 3 a.m. Not only that, the quality material allows for good airflow and ventilation, so it doesn't lead to any awkward nightly sweating, and it can be adjusted super easily to fit her head or my massive noggin. Although, in case the TV does turn off, the white noise machine we got from Manta Sleep pulls its weight and creates a soothing environment to fall back asleep with no issues. And, as if Manta Sleep couldn't help Juliet out anymore, she has chronic headaches. It runs in her family. We picked up a fairly cheap headache mask that you can put in the freezer to work as a remedy for that, but it got pretty old and ratty very quickly. Of course, Manta Sleep had us covered with their cooling mask alongside some soft cushion for your eyes, and the cushions are freezable. This helps her headache with no problem alongside the typical comfort of their masks, and to keep it from getting ratty, we can just wash them no problem. All the products really surprised us with the absolute quality and care that clearly went into making them, and will be a staple of not only our nightly routine, but our travel bags as well from here on out. They have a plethora of masks to choose from on their website with a range of all kinds of prices, so find one that's right for you as you fall asleep to one of my videos. I'm sure a lot of you use these to nap or go to sleep. I'm calling you out. I know what you're up to. If you decide to check out the site through the 19th and 27th of November, the entire site is 15% off for Black Friday. And the first 500 people to purchase a mask will get a holiday kit thrown in too. But if you're watching this later on, then you can just use my code Mr. Hunteru to get 10% off any of your purchases. Thank you again, Manta Sleep, for being such a joy to work with and so patient giving my schedule lately, and let us finally jump into the fog. Whoa, this is new, isn't it? Welcome to the library. Some of you guys might have seen this before because I did use it for the Higurashi re-upload, but this is a set I had fully commissioned for these sets of videos by the wonderful Westilius. They're the same person who made the emotes you see in every other video, and if you ever need anything art related, I cannot recommend you enough to work with them. As for this giant TV behind me, images relevant to what I'm talking about will pop up occasionally, but a lot of the time it will sit with static. I'll explain why a little later on, but for now, let's start chatting about the lore. Dead by Daylight takes place entirely in the Fog, or the Realm. All of what we know about the universe comes in the form of the archives. This is a small little pocket dimension inside of the realm where a person called the Observer uses the Oris, a device capable of viewing the memories of killers and survivors trapped in the realm. This little pocket world is also available to players, allowing them to choose challenges to complete, getting them both in-game rewards and unlocking lore for various characters in the Dead by Daylight universe. These pieces of lore are available in the archives through rifts and have been titled tomes by the Observer. While the Oris and the Observer have taken a bit of a back seat as the archives is no longer as accessible as it used to be, these are still available in-game through this tiny button here at the bottom. Because of the Observer and these tomes, we have begun to learn a lot about the killers over the years and what brought them to this hellish landscape to hunt survivors. The thing that brought them here, and is presumably the creator of the realm, is the Entity, a cosmic spider deity that is said to be the pure embodiment of evil. The Observer believes that the Entity finds people that it sees with potential for giving it food, as this god feeds off of strong emotion, whether it's fear, desperation, hope, rage, or anger. It influences worlds and eras it travels to so that its inhabitants will commit gruesome acts of violence, leading to a tear in the reality of said world. This tear allows its fog to come in and capture those that interest it, taking them to the realm. Sometimes it will end up catching things that it didn't intend to. For example, Michael Myers was not originally supposed to be taken into the realm. The realm is the world we all play in every time we load up for a game of Dead by Daylight. If they are chosen as a killer, they may go through some changes as the Entity sees fit to maximize the emotions they will create. If they are a survivor, they will be placed at the campfire and await until they are summoned for trials, where they will be relentlessly hunted by killers with a chance at surviving. No guarantee though. No matter what, killers and survivors cannot die or leave. But there is a chance that the Entity could get bored and discard individuals in the realm into a place called the Void, which is where the archives are believed to be located. With the Haunted by Daylight events, we've gotten the chance to see time and time again what this pocket dimension looks like, being filled with this blue-green energy littering the place. Altars, statues, and a well are located here too. The Void is home to ghost-like entities called haunts. Not much truly is known about the Void, these objects around it, or what haunts are. In fact, it is believed that what we see during the Haunted by Daylight events is actually only one part or one layer of the Void, so it could be a lot bigger. But again, right now, we just don't know. The Entity seems to not often get bored with killers, but it does get bored with survivors, so the Void is mostly full of survivors. Here, they are sent to lose their last bits of hope with presumably no form of escape. However, Talbot Grimes, or the Alchemist, believes that the use of putrid serum can allow individuals under its effects to return back to the main realm. The putrid serum is harvested from visceral cankers during blights, which happens every year around Halloween. This serum we will go more into detail about during one of the future killers' backstories. Only 2 people are known to have escaped the Void, and those are Talbot Grimes, who we all know today as the Blight, and Vigo. Vigo is an important figure for survivors, although truthfully, there is a lot we still don't know about him. What we do know is that he has extensively studied the Entity, and that he is likely the creator of the Hatch, which is a way survivors can escape the trial if they are the last ones alive. This connection has been made because his blueprint add-on leads you to the Hatch, and his knowledge of the realm has led him to supposedly create things that shouldn't be possible normally. After all, the Entity did not make the Hatch. For a long time, the Observer could be seen when entering the archives until Tome 12 released on July 20th, 2020. After this, he disappeared, the room the archives were located in has been destroyed, and while he would normally narrate the tomes, now his voice is replaced by an unknown woman who searches for members of the Black Veil. The Black Veil is a cult that operates outside of the realm, existing in multiple realities, and worships the Entity. This name will pop up over various killer backstories, or sometimes can pop up as different names, like the VAC label, the Black Serpent Society, and likely the Black Talon from Tori Kane's backstory as well. Even though the archives give a decent amount of beneficial information to uncover the stories of the characters, the tomes are, unfortunately, quite vague at times. Because of this, I have attempted to form a cohesive narrative based on what we are given in the tomes through their add-ons, the map descriptions, and various other sources for the story. I've done this for every killer I plan to cover in my initial batch of videos, which is the Trapper, the Hillbilly, the Nurse, and the Wraith. And of course, I'll be covering Michael Myers as well, but his backstory is obviously way more concrete than these 4 are. Now, circling back to the library and this TV behind me, why are we here? Well, on top of the tomes being vague story-wise, we are hardly given any visuals to go with them, if any at all. So I figured to go along with the stories I've written, we'd treat this kind of like a storytelling session reminiscent of a campfire story or a podcast. If this isn't your cup of tea, I understand. In each video, I'll be showcasing how their kits work and getting a guest feature from someone on how to play them, so you can skip past these lore segments of the videos, but I really recommend you stick around, because in a lot of these videos, the lore is pretty fantastic for some of these killers. Speaking of the lore segments, I've not done something like this before. This is kind of like fan fiction in a way. So I've done a fair bit of experimentation. Each one of the killer stories is told and presented differently, so as each one comes out, be sure to tell me which one is your favorite in the comments so that I know how to do future killer lore segments. For example, the Trapper is just kind of like a pretty straightforward story, the Wraith has a bit of history lessons in it, and the Nurse Killer video has a full cast of voice actors that I cannot wait to show all of you. Now, since some of you may be new to the game, I'd like to quickly go over how to play Killer. As a killer during a game or trial of Dead by Daylight, your job is to hunt 4 survivors and offer them to the entity. A survivor has 3 health states: full health, injured, and the dying state. Your goal is to get a survivor into the dying state, pick them up, and carry them to a meat hook. To down a survivor, you can swing your weapon by clicking the left mouse button, or you could do a lunge attack by holding that button. For console players, this will be the right trigger. A killer is also given a killer power, which is unique for every killer in Dead by Daylight. For example, the Trapper is guess what? Able to use bear traps, whoa, to help him catch and injure survivors. Using your weapon and your power, you need to injure survivors 2 times to put them into the dying state. There is a game function called a terror radius, which makes a survivor's heartbeat increase as you draw closer, letting them know you are nearby. To prevent going into the dying state, a survivor will run from you in hopes of living. A great way to track survivors is through scratch marks, red marks that appear on the ground or walls. If a survivor sprinted that way, that'll show you where they ended up running to. The more intense the marks, the more recently they were there. The lighter the marks, the less recently they were there. You can also follow pools of blood if the survivor was injured, as another means to find them if they didn't run from you. You can also hear them whimpering, as a lot of survivors will make sounds in game when they are injured. Take this Meg for example. Once you find the survivor, a chase will begin. This is indicated by this little marker here on the survivor's head, and you will hear a chase theme as well. Here's what that might sound like using the Trapper as an example. The chase theme is different for every killer, but you'll usually know whenever a chase is started. To avoid getting hit, a survivor can jump through windows, stun you with a pallet or a flashlight, or just simply run circles around you. However, they can't all run forever, as the longer you chase someone, the faster you get through a mechanic called Bloodlust. When you catch them, make sure to give them a good smacking. They probably deserve it. Once a survivor has been put into the dying state, you can pick them up and carry them to highlighted meat hooks around the map to slap them on said hook, which will begin a timer for them. A survivor fully dies and is eliminated from a trial when that bar reaches 0, or when they have been put on a meat hook 3 times. Other survivors will come to save their friend from the hook, so their timer doesn't deplete, as they need as much help as they can for their objectives. The survivors will try to repair 5 generators to 100% completion, so they can escape before you kill them all the way. But you can prevent this by kicking a generator, making it lose 5% of its progress. After kicking it, the generator will also continue to regress until a survivor goes to repair it again, meaning that it has the potential to go all the way back down to 0, although that's unlikely. When the survivors have finished every one of the generators, all of them will automatically power up immediately, so none of them can be interacted with anymore, and the exit gates will be able to be accessed. These are highlighted for you as a white little blurb through walls. A survivor goes up to the exit gate and has to hold them down for a certain amount of time to get them to open up. You can get to them and stop them from doing so, or if for whatever reason you wanted to, you could be the one to open the exit gates, although I don't know why you would do that. Once the exit gates have been opened, the game will enter the end game collapse. Once you've entered the end game collapse, a little bar will appear at the top of the screen, which shows how long everyone in the match has until the game automatically ends. By that I mean they have to leave the game and escape successfully, or the entity will kill them all automatically if anyone is left in there. And lastly, when there is 1 player left, the aforementioned hatch will spawn. If a survivor hops in it, they can escape for free without completing generators or activating the exit gates. However, if you get to it first, you can close it and they'll be forced to open the gates instead.
No, don't do it!
Also, one tip from me to you that I'd like to add here on the end is that when a survivor drops a pallet, it is breakable. Make sure you break these pallets. Some are fine to leave around the map because they might not be a hindrance to you again, but other pallets survivors can use again and again to constantly juke you. A killer wins a game when they have killed 3 or 4 of the survivors. The game is tied if 2 survivors die and 2 successfully escape, and a killer loses when 3 or more survivors escape the trial. However, it's truly up to the player to decide what they consider a win or a loss. You could sweat and try to kill everyone as fast as possible to get a win. You could hook everyone in the game 2 times and then let them all escape. Or you could do something silly, like go after Jill Valentine only from Resident Evil when you play Nemesis, or only go after Laurie Strode when you're playing Michael Myers. To help a killer accomplish their missions, the entity has blessed them with perks and add-ons. A killer or survivor can have a maximum of 4 perks per game, which gives them special abilities that they would not have otherwise. Each perk has 3 levels to them, with level 1 being entry level and level 3 being the best it can be. We will get more into individual perks when we explain each killer's kits. Add-ons are in-game items that change how a killer's power will work. For example, normally the Trapper can carry 2 traps, but If a Trapper player is to equip the Trapper's bag when going into a trial, for that entire game, they can carry up to 3 traps. Add-ons come in different rarities, those being common or brown, uncommon or blue, rare or green, very rare or purple, and ultra rare or iridescent. Keep in mind that an add-on will be burned at the end of the trial, meaning it will be consumed and you will have to use another or find the add-on you enjoyed in the Blood Web. The Blood Web is simply the progression for Dead by Daylight, allowing you to level up perks, get add-ons, and get offerings. Offerings are similar to add-ons, where they will be consumed when you go into a trial, but they change how the game is played for everybody. Most oftenly, they are used to get everybody more blood points. However, you can also use them to bring you to certain maps you may like, to spawn in more chests, or to protect yourself from losing your add-ons for that game. And with that, you now successfully know the basics of Killer. If that was at all confusing, which I'm sure it was, Dead by Daylight is a very meaty game when it comes to all of these details, I highly suggest rewinding and watching it again just to get the full gist of it all. I'd also like to preface that Dead by Daylight is a live service game, meaning that updates to characters, perks, or powers is possible. You may watch this video and future videos about killers, and some aspects of a killer's kit could be completely different down the line. In fact, you may watch this video and core gameplay mechanics could be different, as we are getting the upcoming tunnel and slug prevention patch, which could completely change how the game is played. With all that though, that's all the basics you really need to know so far for the lore and for playing Killer. Each video from here on out will dive heavy into the lore and the mechanics of the game. The next video for Dead by Daylight will be about the Trapper, his lore, how to play him, and gameplay by the Trapper Master Quiet Kills. I'm very excited to share this with you. I have met a lot of great people through this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. To make sure you don't miss out, hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you all next time.